Hey guys, welcome to the brand new, long-awaited Honda Transalp. Let's get straight into the video here. I'm going to see if I can do this whilst holding my camera, because Honda just keep doing things right with the sound of their bikes as stock. Not bad, eh? Much like the Africa Twin as stock, this is a fantastic sounding bike. Let's get into the review and see what the long anticipated Honda Transalp rides like. How about that sound, eh? From a stock exhaust. Honda are just nailing it at the moment with their Africa Twin and the new Honda Hornet, the naked bike. They're really making these stock exhausts sound great, and this new Transalp, just the same. It's brilliant. It's such a characterful sound. Woo! Just what you want from your adventure bike. Really nice. First off, big tick on the sound. Coming into the new Transalp, the last Transalp was in 2012, so it's been a long wait for this new one. So there's been a lot of hype around this new bike. Straight off the bat, being completely honest, when I saw it, I thought, oh, the looks look a little bit bland, but actually I've warmed to it and I think it looks quite classy and quality. I like the looks of this bike. So it's a middleweight adventure bike. I was thinking of approaching this review as like another one of my other videos, you know, is it as good as the Africa Twin or is it better than the Africa Twin, you know, being a little bit controversial like that. But I've decided not to. I think I'm gonna approach this review as just a standard review of a standalone bike, this, trying to not mention the Africa Twin and forget about that, although there are a lot of similarities. Well, there we go, I'll stop doing that. It's a standalone review. So price £9,499. Engine, we have a 755cc parallel twin with a 270 degree crank, surprise surprise, with 91 horsepower and 75 newton meters of torque. So guys, this is a brand new engine. It's the same engine as in the new Honda Hornet. If you haven't seen that review, I did that a month or so ago, and that is a mighty impressive bike. Seriously, at a great price and a brilliant engine. So we got the same engine in the Transalp here. So yeah, so far, hello sir, good recipe. Immediately jumping on, God, there's lots of good bikes around. Jumping on the Transalp, the riding position is extremely comfortable, very adventure style, very similar to a certain bike I promised I wouldn't mention. Really sat upright. I mean, you're not, but it almost feels like you're leaning back. It's so comfortable. A nice high-ish screen frontal fairing of the bike. Really comfortable. Long travel suspension, high ride height, so you can see over traffic nice and easily. First off, jumping on immediately, this is a wonderful place to be for long trips. Along with that just quality Honda parallel twin engine, it's so smooth yet so characterful. It is just fantastic. Yeah, this is a really nice place to be so far. Immediately jumping on, I can feel it. Nice weight of the bike. We'll go over specs later, but initially it just feels flickable, it feels light. It definitely feels like in the middleweight class. When you jump on really big adventure bikes nowadays, you notice their weight. You definitely notice this is a weight down from the bigger adventure bikes. It's really refreshing, and it pays a big benefit to this bike to feel lighter like that. And so far so good. Everything really positive. I'm really liking this bike. All of the standard functional things work extremely well. I know it's simple and silly, but the mirrors are really good, really easy to set up to the perfect setting. The dash is that typical Honda dash. same as on a certain other bike and a few others. There's endless options for adjusting your engine braking power, traction, ABS. There's 5 different rider modes, so you're getting some tech with this. So just the first initial impression, very positive so far. We go for a bit more of a ride, let you know a bit more about the bike, and then I'm going to stop. I'll go over the specifications, just the figures, and then after the specs we'll go out for another ride, and I'll give you my overall conclusion of, you know, who I think this bike would be good for, whether I like the bike, whether I think it's a good bike, and yeah, whether it is worth the hype. So stay tuned, let's get into the new Transalp. Okay, so what's that engine like? So I'm in sport mode out of the 5 different rider modes you get on this bike. Besides the character and the sound, this is such a good engine. I love it. I'm such a big fan of this motor. I wouldn't say it's about the torque on this motor. It likes to rev a bit, like in the Hornet. It's actually worthwhile hunting this engine out, and the longer you hang on to the revs, the slightly more exciting it gets. Don't get me wrong, it's not an inline 4 screamer, but when you do hang on to the revs, there is excitement there. And because it's not a massive wedge of torque lower down, it's quite relaxing to just roll on the throttle. There's not like an oomph of torque that you feel you have to be ragging it the whole time. It's quite a nice progressive power delivery. Engine is a real winner on this, and it is just working an absolute treat. It's oozing quality like Honda always does. It's an exciting engine. It's got a nice amount of torque. It's relaxing at the same time. Very, very nice motor. I'm really enjoying this so far. Just the clutch feel and the gear lever, just typical Honda top quality. Everything just works. Is just working really well so far. You could mistake this for being a boring bike, but so far it's just what I'm after from a motorbike, really. You've got 21-inch spoked front wheel and an 18 on the rear. Now 21-inch can often let the handling down of a bike. A lot of people say, oh no, you can't feel 21-inch wheel on the front nowadays. I think you can. However, excuse the cliche, you'd be struggle to tell this is a 21-inch front on this bike. It handles really nicely. Don't get me wrong, it is not sporty handling. It's just lovely, sort of neutral, comfortable, confidence inspiring, along with the 21-inch front. So when you get these bumps in the road, which, let's be honest, in the UK are just everywhere, you've got the confidence of that 21-inch front, adding to the feeling of that sort of adventure bike style. You really feel like, you know, you could take this through Morocco or the Alps, etc., and it can handle it quite well, yet the handling is still good. Adding to the handling, compared to the larger adventure bikes, this is relatively lightweight. I'm going to give you the specs in a second, but I can't remember it off the top of my head, to be honest, the weight, but I can feel it's lighter. It feels like a middleweight, even lightweight adventure bike. It's such a good balance of size and weight to allow you to sort of flick it around a bit, unlike a bulkier, bigger adventure bike. So you got your screen here, guys, obviously non-adjustable. I must say, for me, I'm 5'9", quite a good height for me at the moment. I think on the motorway you might get some buffering from it, but for this style of riding, perfect height. I can clearly see over it and I'm not getting any buffering at all. There's a decent amount of wind protection up front, so you can opt for a quick shifter as well. This bike hasn't come fitted with it, but a quick shifter would just improve that overall sort of smooth quality feeling, and Honda make a really nice quick shifter as well. I would definitely opt for the quick shifter. This is the most comfortable motorcycle I've sat on in ages. It's really wanting to make me go on a long trip, exploring places I've never been, getting lost and just having fun motorbiking. Very positive reviews so far, but let's go over some specs and then we'll see if we can pick some holes in it, because there are a couple of weaknesses that are worth mentioning and could bring it down, persuade you to buy some other options over this because of those weaknesses. So let's explore those after we've done the specs. So guys, just before we delve into the raw specifications of the bike, I want to say a massive thank you to Blade Motorcycles, specifically Abingdon Honda, just outside of Oxford in Abingdon, for lending the bike for today. Very much appreciated, and a good group of guys and girls working at Blade, so thank you, Blade Motorcycles. So the engine, I don't want to keep blabbing on about it, but a 755cc parallel twin with a 270-degree crank, giving it a nice bit of character to the motor. 91 horsepower, 75 Newton meters of torque. Great feature, quality motor, good fun. I've already gone over that, there are the specs. Okay, front brakes. You have two 310mm discs with 2 piston calipers, not 4, but then this is a focused on adventure bike, so if you're taking this off-road you don't want really sharp front brakes. The brakes are more than adequate, nothing to write home about, but plenty for that laid back, sort of longer touring vibe of the bike. Rear brakes, you have a single 256mm disc with a single piston caliper. Again, not crazily strong brakes, but more than adequate and a nice fitting for the bike. Front suspension, you have Showa 43mm upside down forks with 200mm of travel. Non-adjustable up front. One thing I'll note on the suspension, it is on the softer side for a road bike, however compared to some other larger adventure bikes, it's not too softly sprung. I'm really enjoying it. Like I say, the handling's good, the ride's good, it's not too soft and it's not too stiff, so it's a nice, although basic suspension, it's set up nicely out of the box. Okay guys, so rear suspension, you have a ProLink swing arm shock with 190mm of travel. I believe it's preload adjustable only. So a note on that, with this bike suspension, there's a nice amount of travel there for riding off-road, but it's not too much. It's not on the real high-end spec of taller adventure bikes, where I often find is just unnecessary and makes the riding experience a bit harder because you're just too high off the ground. This is a nice setup with the suspension. Okay, on to the weight. So it's 208 kilograms wet weight, ready to go on the road. That's light for adventure bike statistics, and you can feel that on the road. It's just so maneuverable. Even when you're maneuvering the bike around on the tarmac, etc., it's not a problem. It's not intimidating at all. Very well balanced, really nice weight to it. It adds to the handling and feel of the bike. It just feels very maneuverable, like on an adventure where you get stuck down a lane, you go the wrong way, etc. It's maneuverable, whereas a bigger adventure bike, noticeably harder to maneuver than this Transalp. Okay guys, seat height. I'm 5'9", 32-inch inseam in the leg, 850mm seat height. Now, sitting on it, I can actually sort of flat foot it on the ground with a slight bend in my knee as well. All of that tying in, the weight, the seat height, just works really nicely. It's easy to maneuver around. You still have a high riding position, traditional sit up and beg adventure riding position, great view over the traffic, but given the lighter weight, the slightly lower seat height, just the size and dimensions of this bike, it works really well, and it's really easy to hop on and off and maneuver around, yet you still have the benefits of that higher seat height and longer travel suspension. There you go, there's all the specs done. Let's jump back on the road and I'll give you my final verdict of the bike. And also, it's not perfect, there are a couple of weaknesses, so we'll go over those right now. Okay guys, so despite my very positive affirmations and reviews so far, there are a couple of weaknesses to the new Transalp. The first one, it's a real pain personally. Not enough to put me off the bike. However, well, here it is, it's technology. You cannot get cruise control on the new Transalp, and given what this bike's built for, I think cruise control would be very nice to have on it. I know it's a bit of a luxury nowadays, cruise control on motorbikes, but I've got it on my personal bike. I just wouldn't go without it now. I find it so useful, and to not have it as an option on here is a bit of a weakness in my opinion. That is annoying. I wouldn't, obviously it's down to how much you want cruise control. I wouldn't let it put you off the bike. It is a bit annoying not to be able to even have it as an option. I understand why they've done it. it. This is built to a price point. They have to make limits with things somewhere on the bike, so they've ditched cruise control, but that is a bit of a weakness. Okay, another weakness of the bike, and I'm really scraping the barrel here. This is the only other weakness I could find. Okay, I was just about to say the weakness is there is a potential lack of excitement and connection to the road. But that is because this is an adventure bike. This is built as an adventure bike. It's got a 21-inch front wheel and longer travel suspension. So it's just physics. There's always a bit of lack of, you know, initial turn-in and connection with the road. That is the only other small weakness I could say, but that's just the style of the bike, man. For riding connection with the road, this is one of the best adventure bikes I've ridden. In its class, it's fantastic. It's just not a sports bike, that's all I'm saying. Bit of a silly one, but I had to come up with another weakness. Overall conclusion of the bike: is it worth the hype, and has it been worth the wait over 10 years for it to come out? This is one of the best all-round motorcycles, you know, fundamentally in every aspect. Just the capability, one of the best motorcycles I've ridden for a long time, possibly ever. It is just absolutely working for me. I'm really impressed with it. It's just nails absolutely everything in all departments. It doesn't shine. I'd say the engine shines, nothing else particularly shines, but as an all-round motorcycle and an accomplished quality motorcycle for the road, this is a great thing. I really recommend trying one out. If you're not, you know, if you're into adventures and just the joys of riding a motorcycle, excuse me, then this is an absolute peach. Look, if you're a sports bike rider and you want a quick bike, then this won't be for you, but as an overall lovely thing to take out for a ride, go traveling with, and appreciate nature and riding on two wheels, this is a really accomplished machine. I'm going overboard now. Really good positive review from Red Ang Revival on the new Transalp. I hope you've enjoyed the video. As always in my videos, shout out to mental health awareness. If you are struggling out there, you know, just know you're not alone in your battle. A lot of people do struggle. I do, mentally. That's why I ride motorbikes. They help a lot, and this style of bike is absolutely fantastic for it. I've had a great day today. So keep your hopes up, guys. Hope you're enjoying the weather, and thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe or smash that like button. And if you want to see my review of the Honda Hornet with the same engine as this bike, I'll link it at the end of the video. Check that out, because that's a cracking bike, just more sports orientated as well. Anyway, till next time, ciao Bella!